Hello YouTubers, I made a previous video celebrating 10 years of service from my vintage PCs. In that video I mentioned that one of the computers, a domain controller, had developed some errors, and I suspected they were hardware problems in nature. Well, this is that computer. I pulled it down and had a look, and it really is a hardware problem. So what stuff did I look at to find out what was wrong with it? Well, starting from the left, did the CMOS reset, new battery. I put the memory sticks through a software memory tester. They were fine. I put them through several cycles and no problems. Even connected the motherboard up to a new power supply. No problems there. I have a few of these spare kicking around. Tried new CPUs, still no luck. So I thought, right, something more fundamental to the motherboard. So I looked at the capacitors. The capacitors on vintage PCs and some newer PCs are always suspect. Why? Well, there was something called a capacitor plague. The capacitor plague from the late 1990s onwards. In the East, a whole raft of capacitors were manufactured that were substandard. Reasons for the capacitor plague are varied. One of them even includes industrial espionage. Whatever the reason, these faulty capacitors can be found in everything from motherboards, power supplies, LCD monitors, fluorescent lamp ballasts, all sorts of stuff. A visual check on its own is no guarantee that they're fine, but for a computer that's this cheap, I'm not going to do much more than a visual check, and these check out fine. The vents are all intact. That star at the top of each capacitor is unblown. It hasn't moved. There's no cracking or anything. They're stamped on top, or cut on top. I don't know how that's done exactly, so that if the capacitor needs to blow, that's the weakest point and it will come upwards. But these are fine. They stand straight. There's no leakage at the base or anywhere, no bulging, so visually at least they look good. There's no way I'm going to be looking at surface mount stuff or reflowing motherboards, not on something this cheap. So, realising it wasn't really economical to fix this, what were my options? Well, ideally I wanted to take the hard drive out and put it into another machine and use the existing OS installation of 2000 in that machine with minimal alteration by me. It's a gamble and it's hard to pull off. The reasons for not wanting to do a fresh install on another machine, in this case I think are valid. The software configuration on this machine was quite detailed. It was a domain controller and a file server, performed various backups, had roaming profiles, various other functions. I didn't really want to go through all this again, so I wanted to take the gamble, take the hard drive out and put it in another machine. If the other machine has a very similar hardware and an identical chipset, it's possible. Luckily the other machines I've got are compact Desk Pro small form factor machines, and they have the same chipset as this. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think you can. I think you'd be lucky. It's an Intel 815 chipset, and the same one that's in this iPack is in the compact Desk Pro small form factor machines. So with that in place, the same chipset, there's a chance I could avoid a fresh install. So I took the hard drive out, put it in the other compact, and it went surprisingly smoothly. I did some driver installs, and not much more. Links it up to the network and let it carry on replicating to the domain controller. Did some checks of the scheduled tasks and check the error logs, and no problems. I think there was a net time error, which is understandable. But I think that was it. Once I fixed that, it went smoothly. So that problem was surprisingly easy to solve. So what will I do with this now? Memory sticks I'm keeping. The power supply I'm going to remove and keep that in my spare parts bin. There isn't much else salvageable from this. No, so we'll probably put it into a recycling centre and let them work their magic on it. It's a bit dark, not the best shot, but just showing you the existing setup. Here was where the 40 PC used to be, and I had two redundant project PCs here. So I took one of those, and that's it, with the new hard drive in there. So, primary domain controller, secondary domain controller, spare PC, web server.